Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, folks, wherever you may be when watching this video. I hope I have something a little bit educational for you today. Somewhat of a DIY moment that I had last night that I wish I had many years ago. And it's to do with some gear maintenance. And if you're a home studio person, you've dealt with microphones, and often those elastic mounted shock mounts or cradles, whatever you want to call them, that you usually put, like a large diaphragm condenser mic in, or any other mic for that matter. The purpose of the shock mount is to sort of mitigate, but it can't eliminate things like, floor noise, like, rumbling of things, and to keep the microphone from getting a serious shock should it get bumped into and hit a piece of gear, fall on an amplifier or something like that. It holds it in an elastic suspension. Now, the first expensive piece of gear I bought was back in 2006 when I was starting to get into recording, and it was this lovely little fellow here, AKG C3000B. It's a large diaphragm condenser mic. What happened was not an issue with the microphone, but with this cradle, this shock mount that I'm talking about. It's probably 7 or 8 years ago, my son decided in a moment of curiosity to dismantle the shock mount. And he took the elastic stuff off it, and it's this weird web. If you've seen one of these things, it goes up and down and through and around and all this stuff. And I never really could get it back together, but that didn't stop the microphone cradle from being useful. I mean, it's been used for many things over the years. But it was always, a little bit off kilter. I'd have to, fix up the elastics, and they were getting too stretched out to really do their job properly anymore. So I looked online, and I, found, through the AKG site, they had a product that I could order. It was, I think at the time it was about $30. 2 pieces of elastic that this shock mount was put together with. And I saw a few tutorials, whatever, online of people describing how picky you have to be, almost to the point of like making sure the moon is in the right phase and cycle before you put this thing back together, because it's like so critical. Now I'm going to show you what I did to repair my microphone shock mount. Behold the rising of the phoenix. We were at one of the local dollar stores last week, and I saw these black hair elastics, the ponytail tire things. And I looked at that and I thought, you know what? I bet you, that could be something that I could repair the microphone shock mount with, finally, after all these years. And check this out. So normally what happens is the elastic will go, I guess, sort of up, down, through, back around through there, up and down there, over and around this thing, and lock in some sort of like, sacred geometry to hold this in place. But last night I was prepared for a good bit of angst, and I had to be in the right mental frame, place, whatever, to completely disassemble this thing and try and put it back together with new parts. But this was like so easy. I hooked it on the top here, as you can see, went around through the side and hooked it onto the bottom. I did one side, then I did the other side, so they held each other up, and I held it carefully, and I put on the other 2 sides, and honestly, in less than 1 minute, I had it fixed. It was pretty cool. And I was like, kind of expected it to fall apart, and it didn't. And, I put the microphone in it. It's still doing its shock mount thing. I can get fairly aggressive with it, and nothing. It's fine. And I bought this package of, I think it was 20 hair tire things for $1.25 or $1.50, and I used 4 of them. So if anyone out there is like frustrated with their shock mount for the microphone, try the hair elastics. Now, I know it's not OEM. I know it's not the original kit that your mic shock mount shipped with, but it works. I tried some audio tests with it, and I mean, it sounds like somebody stomping their foot on the floor. You know, I was bouncing the microphone around. You don't need to see that. Just trust me. You know what happens when a microphone gets bounced. But yeah, so to wrap this up really quickly, hair tie elastics from the dollar store. And unless you're like one of those kind of people that absolutely has to have the original stuff, thinking that your microphone is going to be better sounding with the original, you're allowed to have that thought. But I just wanted to share my little home studio DIY repair hack, I guess, and maybe save you some time and money and frustration in the future. Have a good one, folks.